I mean, along with soil, one of the essentials for all life is water. And again, the industrial system uses water in a way that's not sustainable. We've seen this with the Colorado River, for example. The Colorado River, if you look now where it ends in Mexico, it's just a dribble. Sometimes it doesn't even reach the ocean. And this is because of the overuse of this river through industrial agriculture and through the beef culture. Remember, the production of meat involves a huge and wasteful amount of water. Now, if you look at the Ogallala Aquifer that stretches from the north of our country all the way down into the far south, that again has been overused because of agriculture and overpopulation. In many areas, we're down 40 to 50%. Now, it takes about 1,500 years for the Ogallala Aquifer to fill itself up, 1,500 years. So for all practical purposes, that's a non-renewable resource if we keep using it the way it is. It's renewable if we were to not abuse it, but because we've abused it, you're talking about hundreds of years to get back to where we would need to be. So we keep talking about non-renewable and renewable resources. In many ways, the passenger pigeon was a renewable resource. It blackened the sky when the first colonialists hit America, and now it's extinct. So when you abuse a renewable resource in such a way as we're doing with water in these aquifers and in our rivers, they become non-renewable very, very quickly. And that is going to be a major, major issue. We're already seeing water wars. We're seeing litigation in our country from state to state, arguing who gets the water. We're seeing water wars in Africa. We're seeing water wars in Asia. This is going to be also a huge problem with civil strife, with nation-to-nation conflict. Water is essential. You can live without food for a while. You can't live without water for very long. So it is an absolutely critical moment for us to begin to really understand the number one waster of water in the world, and that is industrial agriculture. It is yet another huge menace, and why we have to get rid of this system and get the organic and beyond system in its place pretty soon. When we look at an alternative agriculture to this industrial agriculture, right, we need to look at what I call the essentials. What do you need to grow a plant? You need water, you need soil, you need seed, you need farmers, you need the sun, you need pollinators, and you need animals or other natural sources of nitrogen, including composting, right? Well, how is the industrial agriculture system done with this? Well, we've said it's exploited soil 13 to 15 times more than it can regenerate itself. We're exhausting our aquifers and our rivers. We're in a huge water crisis. We've monocultured our seeds, which is terrible, because in a climate change world, we don't know what seeds we're going to need in which area to be able to survive this climate chaos, right? Farmers, we've lost in the United States alone 10 million farmers and 5 million farms in my lifetime. Farmers have the highest rate of suicide of any occupation by far. The average age of a farmer in the United States is 58 years old. This is what we've done to industrial agriculture, our farm community, through these huge monocultures and massively increasing the overhead costs. Pollinators, we're in a disastrous situation with our pollinators. Absolutely crisis disaster situation. 70, 80% of our hives gone. In animals, instead of having animals as a natural source of nitrogen, fertilizer in our farms, we've taken 10 billion of them, put them in these horrible animal factories where they don't see soil at all. And then instead of their waste matter being something that can be something to help our fertilizing our soil, it becomes huge, huge lagoons of waste, which create methane, which then creates climate change, climate chaos. So in every one of those areas, those are your essentials. Those are the essentials that we need. We can see directly that industrial agriculture destroys each of the essentials that we need. So what's the answer? We need to use soil only in such a manner as to allow it to regenerate itself. We need to say we can use water, but we have to use it at a pace where it can regenerate itself. We have to have a huge diversity of seeds, healthy farm communities, a healthy pollinator community, and take animals out of those horrifying factories and put them back on the land where they can become a sustainable source of nitrogen. It isn't that hard. It isn't that hard. It goes against a lot of people's profit interest, but it is not hard conceptually to understand what we need. And it's really important to understand how the market system is completely antithetical to nature, how it's really the enemy of nature. You think of everyone eats tuna fish. Tuna fish every sandwich place in America. Tuna fish, right? And we have a growing population. So we have more demand for tuna fish. But the tuna out there, they have not read Adam Smith. They don't know anything about the market system. They're not saying, hey, there's more people, they want more tuna fish. Come on, folks, let's reproduce more tuna. They don't know that. So when you have more demand and less supply, because that supply needs to regenerate along natural regeneration, right? You have the recipe for extinction. The topsoil doesn't know about the market, doesn't know, oh, we need more food for supply and demand, we need more, water doesn't know that. So instead of having our entire system, our food system, our agricultural system, or agribusiness system, since there's not much culture left in it, let's not call it agriculture, let's call it agribusiness. We need to restore the culture in agriculture, right? So agribusiness, right, is based completely on market. That has to change. We have to understand that all of our economics, including our food economics, has to be a wholly owned subsidiary of ecology. Unless we re-embed our entire understanding of how we behave as humans, agriculture and all the other areas, to the natural regenerative rhythms of the natural world, we are in big trouble as far as surviving as a species. You know, the market system was invented by a couple of guys in Scotland in the 18th century. That has nothing to do with that's dream world. That's fantasy world with the stock market and the market. That's all dreamy land. That's all fantasy. And that party is over. We need to take a serious look and say, you know what? We need to comport our behavior here, including how we grow our food, with the ecological realities. We can't expect topsoil, tuna, or water supplies to somehow understand the market system. That's delusional. And we're in denial about that. And I have a master's degree in psychology along with my law degree. I know delusion and denial when I see it. I think another important point is that, in a dogmatic market system, capitalist market system like we have, we insist that everything be a commodity. But everything isn't a commodity. A commodity are things that we make for sale. We don't make soil for sale. We don't make water. That is made by the earth. We don't make the tuna fish. We don't. Nature makes them. And if we try and turn these commodities based solely on supply and demand, we're ignoring nature, and that imperils us, right? Because they aren't going to respond to that system for very much longer. So the entire market system is based on commodity, and that has huge impacts for human social justice as well. For example, shouldn't healthy, non-toxic food be the right of every child in America? Shouldn't that be the right of every child? I mean, I think it should be the right of every person in America, but if for some reason you say, well, I think adults should take more responsibility but what about a child? You can't blame a child whether their parents succeeded in the market system. So if you don't believe that, and the United States was the only country last March during the beginning of the Trump administration to vote against a UN resolution saying that food is the right of every person in the world, we voted against it. So if you don't believe that, you're saying the market should decide. You're saying the market should survive on whether children live or die, or whether they have enough food so they can have adequate brain development. The market will decide. Really? Is that who we are? Is that who we are as a country? We're going to say our children's brain development, their very survival will just depend on whether their parents were successful or not in the market? That's not a country I want to live in. That has nothing to do with social justice. And as long as we treat food as solely a commodity, and we don't have an extensive, and a far more expensive thing than we do, of making sure that every child has not just food, but safe, non-toxic food, then we are literally saying we don't care. Let the market decide.